Hi everyone, it's Natasha from Ironside Investments, and today I'm going to be talking about creating a win-win for the borrower. Now I want you to picture this, and for this scenario I'm going to use 2006. Picture that you're a borrower who bought a home when it was the right time in your life. You've saved for a down payment, you've got a steady monthly income coming in, and you've got your credit score where it needs to be. This is generally one of the most exciting days for a borrower. It's the American dream. Fast forward a few months or even years. We all know what happened in 2008. Maybe you lost your job or going through a divorce. Maybe your health started declining. Whatever the reason, you're having money troubles and haven't been able to pay for your mortgage. The lender has sent you a foreclosure letter demanding payment or your home. You reach out to the lender to make a plan for repayment and they tell you to pay the amount owed in full or give up your house. What do you do now? Now, I want to put a caveat in here that when you go to sign the closing documents, there's generally an acceleration clause in those documents. An acceleration clause is if a buyer misses too many payments, the lender can actually call the entire balance of the loan due in full immediately. What that means is if you just purchased a $200,000 house and 3 months later you stop making payments, the lender can initiate an acceleration clause making you pay that $200,000 immediately. How can note investing help a borrower? When we purchase these notes, we are able to get them at a steep discount, usually 55% of loan to value, giving us some freedom to revamp the loan. Once we purchase the loan, we get into contact with the borrower to determine what their situation is and how we can make it easier for them. We have a few different strategies that we work with to help a borrower with whatever decision they choose. Their decision may not always be to stay in the house, and you'll see that in some of the later exit strategies. So our first exit strategy is a loan modification. A loan modification allows us to change the terms of the loan, just like a bank would. For example, if the borrower is paying $1,000 a month but can only afford $800 a month for the next year, we can work out a plan with the borrower to have the payments or the interest rates reduced, helping the buyer avoid foreclosure and stay in the home with a payment that they can actually afford. Now, our second strategy is called a forbearance, and this is very similar to a loan modification, but it's got restrictions and a plan in place if the borrower defaults or stops paying again. We see this a lot when we go to purchase notes. They've already attempted a loan modification and the borrower has defaulted again. Now, it's important that we are still running a business and we have to ensure that the buyer isn't going to keep defaulting and just defaulting and defaulting. So we put plans and restrictions in place so that if a borrower does default again, we already know what our next step is. Exit strategy number 3 is a deed in lieu. If a borrower has already moved out of the property, to avoid being kicked out of their home, they may just ask to hand the property over and be forgiven of their debt. We can offer the borrower a deed in lieu and then resell the property or rent it out for cash flow. Now, this is what I was meaning when I said that not all borrowers want to stay in the home. That is definitely our first strategy and the one that we always try to get to happen because we want to see people stay in their home. However, some borrowers have already gotten scared because they've gotten the foreclosure letter and they've already vacated the property and don't want the property back anymore. If that's their exit strategy, we can definitely work with them to make that happen. For exit strategy number 4 is cash for keys. Some borrowers don't want to stay in their home anymore. They want to go somewhere where they can afford, maybe rent or move back in with some family, but they need funds to be able to move into their next home. We can offer a few $1,000s to the buyer to move out of the property and then provide a deed in lieu, granting the property back to us. Now, when we give cash for keys, it's important that we make sure the buyer is going to leave the property in good condition. We don't want to go back into the property and find out that all the cabinets are missing and the kitchen is completely tore up and there's cement in the toilets. We want to make sure that the property is going to be left in a condition that will actually be resellable. Exit strategy number 5 is a short sale. If the borrower's property value is below the amount owed to the lender can approve a short sale payoff, forgiving the difference between sale price and the unpaid principal balance. So let's say the balance is $200,000, but the home is actually only worth $175,000. We, as the bank, can allow the buyer to sell their house at the $175,000 and forget the $25,000 in debt. Exit strategy number 6 is a foreclosure. Now, foreclosure is always our last resort. We do not want to take anyone to foreclosure. However, sometimes it still happens. We generally have to use the strategy if the borrower will not respond to our numerous attempts, refuses any of our offers, or the property is vacant and we can't find the borrower. We send many letters to the borrowers informing them of the foreclosure sale with a letter informing them if they would like to stop the foreclosure to contact us so we can work out a plan. Many borrowers won't call because of previous conversations with big banks, as they call the full amount due up front and are unwilling to work with the borrower to create a repayment plan. So how is this a win-win for an investor? With any of these exit strategies, the investor has the opportunity to make their investment back plus a high rate of ROI. For example, if a borrower decides to do a loan modification, the borrower will begin making their payments to the note investor. So if you're paying $1,500 a month for your mortgage and we do a loan modification to $1,000 a month, that $1,000 a month will come to the note investor every single month. The investment then becomes passive cash flow. If we go the opposite end of the spectrum and have to foreclose, the investor will take the property back and either rent it out, fix it up and resell it, or resell it as is to an investor. Majority of these strategies create a win for the borrower and a win for the investor. The only caveat obviously being the foreclosure. If you have any questions about note investing, what it is, how you can get involved, and how you can be helped, contact us at 239-233-5163. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.